EVTN News, John the Son of Thunder here with Brett the Fog. And EVTN News identifies as the #1 Catholic news channel
in the world, baby.
In the world. And if you disagree with it, well, you'll have to take that up with the government. Anyway, we'll jump right into Vigano's latest. He has an article where he talks about the Vatican Health Conference with Dr. Virus, Chelsea Clinton, CEOs of Pfizer and Moderna. That's probably going to get me censored. And others. So the conference has recruited 5 prominent journalists from media organizations such as CNN, and MSNBC, CBS, and Forbes. They all have kind of a certain political opinion and a certain political swing on things. Now, Vigano also mentions the Council on Inclusive Capitalism, run by Rothschild, the Global Compact on Education, and the Interreligious Pantheon to be held in June in Astana, Kazakhstan. I want to give you a quote here from the article. One wonders if Bergoglio's zeal for the dissemination of the gene serum is not motivated by base economic reasons as compensation for the losses suffered by the Vatican and the dioceses following the lockdown and the collapse of attendance by the faithful at Mass and the sacraments. On the other hand, Rome's silence about the violation of human and religious rights in China has been paid for by Beijing dictatorship with substantial prebends. Nothing prevents the replication of this scheme on a large scale in exchange for the Vatican's promotion of the jab. So what do you think about that?
Well, it's always hard to know where Vigano's coming from and what he thinks. He's laying it straight out there. He believes, and he knows more about it than you or me, that the Vatican has been bribed by China to look the other way. The fact is, he won't even pray publicly for anyone in China at all. He read what he says. He thinks what he thinks. I don't know what else to say. It's and neither does he. He's taken the hammer of truth to the tissue of lies, and so far it hasn't made a difference.
Well, I think it's significant that he questions the motivations behind the virus, religion, and the Vatican's conferences. If it is actually motivated by substantial bribes, so it's
he's gone way past. He's gone way past virus heresy into straight into virus sin. This is he doesn't. I wonder, and personally. Francis, he went out to the Angelus window again. He had his he had his name day party. He went and saw people without the mask because he doesn't believe in the mask. Not for him, anyway. And so this whole thing of, the Catholic Church being tied nuts over the virus, I think Vigano may be right. This may be just about the bucks.
Virus, Religion, and Action. Takes place in Ireland and Ontario, Canada. So attending Mass is a crime in Ireland. Check out the article. The regulations are focused on indoor gatherings, including religious services other than weddings or funerals. The penalty for breaches of the new law is a fine of €127 or up to 6 months in jail. So what if we faked a wedding every Sunday?
I like it. And why do we have to fake a wedding every Sunday?
Well, no, but the people in Ireland, what if they fake the wedding every Sunday? And
well, they have a wedding every Sunday.
Well, they can, or you bring up a good point, though. Scott Hahn's book, The Lamb's Supper, he talks about Mass as the wedding feast of the Lamb. So good luck convincing authorities of that in Ireland, but, it really is a wedding feast. I thought that was an interesting exception.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting. So, because... after all, you can't catch the virus at a wedding or a funeral. That's science. Science.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to move over across the pond to Ontario, Canada. Now, apologies for my friends in Ontario, Canada, or any of Canada. You're run by communists. I'm sorry for that. Get over here when you can. It's not a picnic here either, but at least you can walk outside your front door without getting arrested. So London, Ontario bishop, he has a quote here that says, "Confessions should be discouraged, but may be celebrated by an appointment if a pastor determines a serious need." By the way, he banned masses. He banned the laity from masses again. I said confession should be deferred until after lockdown, except in danger of death. So what if someone actually does die of, a virus, or if they get in a car accident or something? What if they do die? I mean, they had the danger of death. I don't know. You take that risk every time you walk outside your front door.
Yes.
So this just doesn't make any sense. I mean, we have communists, we have virus, religion, and what's the point? Like, why do these bishops and priests? What's the purpose of their priesthood?
Well, the purpose of their priesthood is an easy life.
I mean, that's what it is, because at this point you're banning the laity from the sacraments again, and you're saying, don't worry about it. And if there is a reasonable hope that all are saved, then your priesthood makes no difference. It's the priesthood of the people. And you can go to a Protestant church, you can go to a Buddhist monastery, or you can stay home as an atheist and watch sports all day, and you're still getting...
Sports! Pope Francis. Remember, there's no I in team. That comes from the Pope himself.
Well, and I think a side note on that, I'm a big fan of golf.
Yes.
And, I mean, it is an individual sport, as is tennis. But that's a side note on that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack the whole thing.
But yeah.
But sports are a religion too.
They can be.
Sure.
You can make them, and but like the atheists, they have their different religions. It's the worship of self.
Well,
and
that's all of us. Yeah,
well, it can be. Yeah, it can get to that point. But those are just what's going on in the virus church. All right, we have a lot of eco quotes from the National Catholic Distorter. I'm not going to read any of them. You can read them if you want. But there's eco bishops, eco heretic bishops.
And why are we focusing on this?
Oh, Earth Day was on, April 22nd, I think?
Yes, April 22nd.
And there's a big deal about that if you have a bishop who kind of likes that kind of stuff. Because apparently environmentalism is pro-life in the Francis Church.
I think so. Yeah, I think that sounds right.
I don't know. It doesn't seem pro-life to me, but hey, who am I? Anyway, the bishops who celebrated Earth Day that were quoted in this article were Bishop Robert McElroy, Bishop John Stowe, and Bishop Edward Weisenberger of Tucson, Arizona. He's kind of a newer name to the Corruption Network. Now, he did support that Elemental Peace statement that a whole bunch of bishops signed in the United States, so he's not new to this, but he's new to our attention. And so I just wanted to mention that. And Pope Francis also recently appointed San Diego's Bishop McElroy, the Vatican's dicastery for promoting integral human development. Now, this dicastery was created in 2017. It's responsible for issues regarding migrants, those in need, the sick, the excluded and the marginalized, the imprisoned and the unemployed, as well as the victims of armed conflict, natural disasters, and all forms of slavery or torture. Basically, I don't know. It seems kind of like... I don't know what the dicastery's purpose really is. Maybe just for spreading the gospel of
social justice.
Well, socialism.
Socialism, social justice, same thing.
Same thing. But the larger point here is that Bishop McElroy, he was at the Vatican Synod, the Amazon Synod.
Oh, okay.
Get that. And so now he's being promoted to a position in the Vatican. He's been one of the most outspoken bishops in favor of heresy. He supports female deacons. He's a fan of LMNOP. He disagreed with Archbishop Chaput on pro-life at one of the USCCB meetings. And I also wanted to point out kind of the future of what it looks like for these types of corrupt bishops. So
promotion to the Vatican. Put them all in one place. I like it.
It's going to be difficult for them to be promoted anytime soon to an open archbishop position. And so I did a little bit of analysis here. Archbishop Kurtz in Louisville is 74, so he's 1 year from the required retirement age. Now, Bishop Stowe is just right across the state in Lexington.
Yeah.
So I expect Bishop Stowe to get promoted to Archbishop of Louisville. I don't think that if there's anyone else that's promoted to that position, I will be shocked, and you can count on it here. So then that leaves us with McElroy and Weisenberger, and looking at it regionally, there's no one retiring no archbishops retiring there for a few years. They're in interesting situations. Now, McElroy is 67, and so he's not necessarily super young.
No, but that's young in that crew.
Well, he's got about 7 to 8 years left.
Yeah, that's a good time.
So
that's 2 presidential administrations.
Well, he'd have to be promoted outside of his diocese, though, or outside of his region, which has happened before.
Of course, yeah.
And it could happen again, doesn't make much sense.
There, even though it seems like we are overwhelmed with heresy, there are actually a limited amount of heretics who are promotable to the archbishop level. And McElroy's he's in that pool. So, yeah, if they have to throw him across the country to get him there, they will.
But still, there's no open archbishop positions across the country aside from Kurtz for a while.
Right.
I think at least 2 or 3 years.
Well, that's assuming that Vos Estis doesn't take somebody out.
Well, that's true as well. Now, Weisenberger, Bishop Weisenberger of Tucson, Arizona, if you're not familiar with American geography, that's pretty far south. Now, Phoenix is central Arizona, and Tucson is 2 hours south near the Mexican border. It's an hour away. Bishop Weisenberger is 60 years old, so he's very young.
Yeah.
And he's promoting the LMNOP agenda.
Oh, he's got a bright future.
He does, and there is an open position coming in the Diocese of Phoenix. Bishop Olmsted is a pretty solid bishop.
Yes, he is.
He's 74 years old, so he's not going to be bishop for much longer. And I have personal, how do I want to say this, inside information. I don't usually have inside information, but in this case I do. Bishop Olmsted is not a huge fan of what's going on in the Vatican.
No. Good for him.
No, he is pro-life. He's not an outspoken bishop. He's pretty soft-spoken, actually, but he's a good one. And you can tell in his diocese there's a lot of Latin masses, a lot of vocations. That's pretty important. Your bishop is, you're going to be a priest. You want a good bishop to be behind you. So
it's essential.
So anyway, Phoenix isn't even the metropolitan seat. Bishop Olmsted is just a bishop. He's not an archbishop.
Oh.
The metropolitan for the region is Archbishop Wester.
The Wester!
Of Santa Fe, New Mexico. Phoenix is a lot larger than Santa Fe, but whatever.
Well, that's historical tradition. That's where the Catholics were first, in Santa Fe, long before they were in Arizona.
Well, they do have some Catholic chapels there, I've heard.
Where?
Santa Fe?
Absolutely. That was one of the original missions.
Yeah, and there's the spiral.
This goes back to the 1600s.
There's that legendary spiral staircase.
Yes.
That as the story goes, St. Joseph was it St. Joseph himself who
Well,
built
that
it?
wasn't himself, but somebody came, built it, and left.
And it was sort of a miraculous situation.
There was definitely a touch of the divine to it.
Yeah, I want to visit there sometime. That's kind of getting off topic, but that leads the question: who will be the next bishop of Phoenix? Phoenix has an auxiliary bishop, Navarez, and he's been very outspoken in favor of pro-life.
Oh,
and so if he gets in, I think he could be a pretty solid bishop taking over.
But that won't happen.
But
that won't happen.
With the bishop to the south that has 6 LMNOP-friendly parishes in his diocese, according to the New Ways Ministries website. What are the chances? And he's young, 60 years old. Pope Francis spoke at Joe Biden's recent climate summit. So this article was on LifeSite News. Pope Francis, although he did speak at the event, his name was replaced with featured speaker Thursday morning after being named specifically in a schedule of the events for the summit. Just hours before he was scheduled to appear, later his entry was removed entirely, and in his speech he did not mention Jesus Christ. So there's a lot to unpack on this story.
There is.
Give credit to LifeSite for covering this and finding out this information. But so by participating in this climate summit, he acknowledges that he's okay with Joe Biden. I mean, he's never made any statements.
He's never been anything but A-okay with Joe Biden.
But it's sort of indirect acknowledgement. Now, obviously, we kind of had an idea.
Yeah, I think we did have a suspicion. But the fun part is, of course, Pope Francis is all aboard the Joe Biden Express. But Joe Biden apparently doesn't return the favor. Drops his name from off of the schedule. He lets him speak, but he doesn't say, Pope Francis, that Pope Francis. there was a suspicion, there is a suspicion, that the reason Pope Francis's name was dropped is because Chairman Xi spoke also at this summit. And Chairman Xi doesn't want to come within, well, he doesn't even want to come within any virtual distance of Pope Francis. Chairman Xi did visit Italy, and the Pope practically begged him to come see him, and he said he'd go see Chairman Xi, and Chairman Xi said, no thanks.
Well, that's great. And, this is one of Pope Francis' favorite topics, the climate.
Well, of course.
And, he was good. He was close with the Obama administration. He came to the United States and spoke to Congress about everything but Catholicism.
Right.
And you figure Joe Biden's a practicing Catholic, quotes, but with two Catholics on there, you think they might want to mention Jesus Christ? No.
Nah, not so
no.
much.
All right.
Meanwhile, in Chicago, Cardinal Cupich bans students at the University of Chicago from going to Mass at the campus and off the campus. They're special. John?
Yeah, I guess so. The University of Chicago. Per Cupich's directive, the university chaplain, Father Andrew Laugemas, sorry about that, butchered it. I always butcher names. And Associate Director of Campus Ministry, Matthew Moran, agreed to bar students from the Eucharist. Moran wrote the following in an email, recognizing that most of our congregation is affiliated with the university. The Archdiocese has asked us to refrain from all in-person liturgies and events while the special measures are in force. He confirmed on the phone that the Archdiocese requested students not go to Mass or seek Holy Communion at a nearby open Catholic church. And he wrote in this email that it would be too risky and scandalous for those aware of the university restrictions. So, okay, let me think about this here. The students are banned from Mass, but the lay people in the Archdiocese are not.
Yes, and you'll notice that was done quoting a phone call. Oh, there's no paper record of this because there's about 10 things canonically wrong with this. This is not licit. Period.
Well, and that's one way to reach out to the youth, tell them not to go to Mass. Oh, great. All right. Like, don't go to Mass. They're not even saying, we're banning everyone from Mass, or we encourage
just you.
We encourage you not to go to Mass. And it's funny. What is the maybe this will get the video targeted? What's the death rate among college students from the virus?
Oh, that's going to get this video targeted.
That's going to get it targeted. But let me ask that, because this is the funny thing is that you have all these stupid restrictions for elementary school kids, youth groups, college students. They're not the ones that are getting super sick. They're the ones that are getting over it in a day. Yeah. So I mean, what's the fear here? What's the problem? It's maybe it's the priest who doesn't want to say Mass.
Quite possible.
And Cupich is just giving him this salary and saying, "Hey, just don't say Mass." Put a sign on the door and just hang out there. I don't know. This is pathetic, but yeah, take a look at the article, read the email, and see what you think.
Well, let me just say this about Cardinal Cupich. He never said never again. He's not the one that went out there and said we're never going to ban the laity. No, he's for it and he's doing it again. Congratulations, you're a consistent man. His name is Joseph Coffey, Coffey. For all you Green Mile fans out there. But Joseph Coffey is an auxiliary bishop in the Armed Services of the United States, and miracle of miracles, he is a Catholic. John.
Well, he's more than just a Catholic. He's an outspoken Catholic. He prayed every day. He says he prays every day for Biden's conversion. He's a member of the Archdiocese of the Military Services. And LifeSite News quoted him in an April 11th homily during a mobile mass outside of Planned Parenthood Abortion Center in Washington, D.C. So can you tell us what a mobile mass is, Brett?
Well, that is when he takes the Mass, the holy sacrifice of the Mass, and he takes it and puts it right in front of the Planned Parenthood Abortion Center, and he's a bishop, and he's doing this, and God bless him a lot.
So I have some quotes from him. He says, "We're going to pray for our president for conversion, that Joe Biden suddenly wakes up and says, 'I've been wrong,' and he publicly renounces his pro-choice position. We pray that that happens before he dies. That's the greatest gift we could give him, not condemn him. Pray for him because he needs a conversion of heart. The Archdiocese of the Military Services is overseen by Archbishop Timothy Broglio, and there's 4 auxiliary bishops in the Archdiocese. Now, what I see here, I googled this, and I don't know if this is accurate, but it says as of 2017, the Archdiocese had 208 priests on active duty, serving approximately 1.8 million people. Yep. Now, is that 1.8 million Catholics in the military?
Yep.
Okay. And this is another inside information. I'm always, I don't ever have inside information, but I do for this situation, is that it's very difficult to find a priest when you're in the military. Obviously, judging by that ratio, yes. Is. But when you're overseas, there may be a priest overseas, there may not be.
Right. And
they go for a month, maybe more, without seeing a priest.
Yep.
These military members... so they don't have an opportunity to go to Mass every week, maybe not even every month, or go to confession, and they're the ones that actually are in the most dangerous situations.
Yeah, they're at the sharp end of the spear.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a difficult situation with the military archdiocese.
It is.
And I think, and the reason why there's so few priests in the military archdiocese is because they have to go through not only seminary, but they have to go through basic training as well.
Mm-hmm.
How many priests are willing to go through basic training?
You'd be surprised.
208.
yeah. That's how many went through, yes. My cousin was a chaplain. And he suggested to the Archbishop that they really need to bring in priests from the fraternity. And the Archbishop, who's desperately short of priests, said no. And the reason he said no is because a fraternity priest will only celebrate the Latin Mass. And he said, I can't have that. And so he'd rather have these guys have nothing than to be subjected to the Latin Mass.
Now, was that Archbishop Broglio who said that?
That was him.
Okay, so Archbishop Broglio is a high-standing member in the USCCB.
Of course.
And it's okay, but that's interesting that you have that inside information.
Yeah.
So the FSSP priests were willing to go through
absolutely
basic training, and that's pretty cool. I like
that.
There
are several who are former servicemen who came out and became members of the fraternity, but they can't go back in as chaplains.
No, if they're not on active military. So, but the thing here is the 4 auxiliary bishops, they have a very little chance of being named real bishops because they're kind of stuck in the military archdiocese. Now, if they would leave the military, then they'd have to probably be moved somewhere else. But this guy's chance, Bishop Coffee, of becoming a real bishop?
It depends on who the next pope is.
Yeah, that's about it. But as far as that goes, he's taking his traveling mass outside of Planned Parenthood. I mean, how many bishops do this? Is he the only one?
There are bishops who have done masses outside of Planned Parenthood. The one that comes to mind is the Bishop of Lincoln, Nebraska.
Connolly.
Connolly, yes.
Bishop Connolly.
Bishop Connolly. It's not just for Germany anymore. Sacred Heart University just had a big rally for LMNOP people. And in defiance of the CDF's statement that blessings cannot be given to objective sin, in particular case of same-sex pseudo-marriage. And they came out all guns blazing. They are totally for it. And and there's so many. But these people, they might as well just pick up the campus and take it to Germany, because then they'll be really happy there, because that's what's going on there.
Yeah, so Sacred Heart University is located in Fairfield, Connecticut, and as Brett's mentioned, the rally was held in defiance of the CDF statement. It wasn't just a regular rally, it was in defiance specifically, and they call themselves a Catholic university. I have a few quotes. The statement from the university said, while the Vatican's decision on LMNOP marriage has disappointed the LMNOP community and its allies, Sacred Heart leaders say the university remains steadfast in support of the LMNOP individuals. Sacred Heart's Protestant chaplain and senior minister at the United Congregational Church of Bridgeport supported the university's actions, saying, "As an out LMNOP clergy, I am very proud of the statement SHU is making. It could very well save lives." Now, the president of the university spoke, and this was a March 29th rally. And no attendance information was provided in the article. I don't know how many people actually attended. It could have just been mostly faculty and staff, because none of the students, I don't know. But the problem here is this isn't really news. Like, universities, unless they're on the Newman Guide, generally the Catholic universities are pretty bad and anti-Catholic.
And very pro-LMNOP.
Yeah,
very.
Yeah, and even like the ones on the Newman Guide, you gotta really kind of watch.
Well, in some Catholic universities, there are little Catholic ghettos. That if you stay in the Catholic ghetto, you might be all right, but some don't even have that.
Yeah, even the University of Notre Dame has a group of Catholics.
Right.
There's even traditionalist groups on certain
Ghetto.
university campuses. And,
yeah, it's a ghetto.
Yeah. So, and I don't know. It's just Catholic universities are so socialist at this point. All universities are, and socialism has infiltrated the Catholic universities. Actually, they probably were brought in by the Jesuits, but it's a big problem that we have, and this rally was just over the top, because you could probably go to any university, like any university's website page, and find stuff like this, but except the rally was specifically in defiance. So that's the big topic here. To close it out, we're going to have German Schism Countdown. You might have seen my recent video about May 10th date and how the priests are going to bless LMNOP couples, and the bishops are supporting this initiative. And the initiative is to become, follow in the footsteps of a father from maybe, 500 years ago?
Yes, Father Martin Luther.
Yes, and so they're going to follow his footsteps and create their own church. And it's not going to be Protestant, though. I think it'll be Unitarian Universalist.
I think that's fair to say. Yeah, I think there's a reasonable hope that all members of that congregation will be saved.
Well, and also I think it will be beneficial because we can get them out of the church, and so we can focus on the people that are in the church. But that's depending on what happens if they decide to leave. But I don't think they're leaving until they're chased out, until they're excommunicated.
Well, that's never going to happen under the current pontificate. That's the sad part. What's really sad is if they want to go, I think most of us would say, go and God be with you. Of course he won't be, but the reality is they're going to take all the buildings. And frankly, they can take all the buildings, but they can't take the churches. That's what I think we should. I think, for me, that's where I would draw the line. Pope Francis will just give the store away. And then, of course, the 10th is coming up. Did you mention the 15th?
I didn't. I mentioned the 15th on my previous video.
Right, that's what I meant. You mentioned
which is
communion for everybody, whether you believe or not. This will be the first time in 2021 years that's happened. So, not looking forward to that. There's two really big speed bumps coming within 5 days of each other. A real gut check for the hierarchy, because we know where Pope Francis stands on this. He'll do nothing.
Well, and this topic is not being reported very extensively. I think there's a Catholic news agency and the National Catholic Register are providing the information, but a lot of the big commentators, they're not talking about this. The Heretic organization, I don't really follow what they post. Are they talking about this? I don't know, but it seems like it's kind of a quiet and not really a very important topic, but I think this is very significant, as I've said on my previous video, because it has the potential for even them to the Church of Germany to go schismatic and take even more people with them.
Yes.
So.
Yes. The Germans, they have this problem with Rome. Since the year 410 A.D., when the Germans came over the Alps and sacked Rome the first time. And then, of course, we have Martin Luther. What was he? German? Yeah. And then he came and, destroyed the unity of the Western Church. And then, of course, you have World War I, where the Germans decided that they weren't happy with the way Europe was divided up. And then we have World War II, when Adolf Hitler and the German people decided they weren't happy with the way that Europe was divided up, and they hated the Jews enough to kill them all. But other than that, there's no reason to worry about the Germans at all.
All right, well, we're going to keep talking about these topics, even the ones that are forbidden, because this is EVTN News, and we are the laity.
And we will not be silent.